Okay, well I haven't wasted any time getting back into this. It's just good fun. And it's so easy to work on compared to the other modern Fiats from the 70s. So basically what I've been doing tonight is giving the engine a general tune-up because up until now it's just been running like a woolly goat lately, so to be idling okay-ish, and then once you rev it up and you run on 2 cylinders and just cough and splutter and be a pain in the ass in general. So first thing I'd done, this fuel filter there, I rerouted that because it was just on an angle and looked crappy. That's more of an aesthetics thing really. Second thing I'd done, clean the points, or whatever, clean the points in the distributor. Oiled it, made sure that was all good. Third thing I'd done, I had old spark plugs in there, so the original ones that came with the car, which were like this, which were clean up and they're still usable, but we've got a brand new set. But the reason why we had the old ones in there was because the brand new ones had fouled up over time, and they just were shorting out, it wouldn't work. So I've sandblasted those in my lovely sandblaster I got for my birthday. I don't know if I showed you that. Anyway, so did that, put them in, cleaned up all the oil and petrol and grease that was on the bottom of the engine there, because that was a pain in the ass. And as a result, I couldn't see the oil level. Now you'll see that level is down at the moment, but that's because it's just been running, so oil will splash around everywhere inside the engine. Anyway, that's that side. On the other side, I'm working on the valves. So you can see you've got the valve cover here that just comes off with 2 bolts, screws, whatever you want to call them, that do it by hand. And you can adjust them here. So basically, the way I'd adjusted them beforehand, I didn't really know what I was doing. So I'd have the first piston at top dead center, and I adjusted those. And I shouldn't have. So the way it works is you have your first piston at top dead center. So that means that your inlet and outlet exhaust valves, or inlet and outlet valves, sorry, so these two here are rocking. So they're, they're both closed, but one's just about to open. And so when you got the first piston at top dead center, you adjust the fourth piston. When you got the fourth piston at top dead center, you adjust the first one. And it's the same for the 2 inners. Sorry, I'm getting the torch in the camera. On you, Brady. So that's what you do with that. I adjusted all of them because they were way out. But I found on the last one here, the exhaust valve on the 4th cylinder, I just couldn't get it to do up. So you got a little locking screw down the bottom, which you can see, and the top one that you use to adjust it. But what was happening was I just couldn't get it to lock tight. And what I found, if you come over here, was that this is the one I took out of the car. So I'll come down here in the light. It's hard to show you guys. So basically, this is a lifter unit from the car. So this little lobe here rides on the camshaft and goes up and down like that, very fast, and opens and closes a valve. Now that's the top part you can see in the car. And what's happened, this little locking nut has actually rounded itself on the bolt, and it's cross-threaded as a result. So it just wouldn't do up. And so when the car was running, this bolt, I presume, was constantly adjusting itself. So some days it'd run good, other days it'd run bad because it's wound itself out and the valve wouldn't close properly, causing it to miss and chuff out the back. So luckily, because the bolt in this is relatively short, I got my dad to give me a hand. He held up the valve with a screwdriver, and I unwound the bolt and put a new one in, or from our spare engine. And now it's running really good, thankfully. So that's one good thing. I adjusted it back up. Also, if someone is wondering, the spacing for the inlet valve, or the valve clearance, is 0.002 of an inch, and for the outlet's 0.003, just in case anyone was wondering. So that's pretty much all the maintenance things done to this engine that I wanted to do. Oh, but this water pump, you can see it's leaking a bit of water out of the gland nut. I just want to take it out and go over it again and make sure it's all packed in properly. And also just put a bit of sealant around where these bolts are, or screws rather, because you can see they're corroded and rusted a little bit. Anyway, I'll just go ahead and put this valve cover back on, which is always fun with one hand. Because you've got to do both bolts up at the same time to get it to go on flush. Bloody thing. Hang on. Torch is down. I don't know why it's doing that. So I've got that gasket there, and that's what's causing it to be a pain in the ass. Apologies for the bad footage. though. Oh, God. Hang on, I'll just put the camera down. This is always easier with two hands, as everything usually is. There we go. Valve cover is back on, nice and tight. So you can see that's how it fits in there. What I would like to do is paint that Fiat sign red, but that's just a minor thing I should do. Anyway, so that's maintenance side of the engine done. And they're all things I should have done in the first place when I was young, naive, and inexperienced. Now I'm a little bit wiser and I know what I'm doing more. I shall fire up and show you the result. Oh, something else I did with the carburetor. This pin here is a needle, and so it's got a bit of cutting compound and grounded ink, so I think it might have been leaking a bit, resulting in all the petrol overflow that was happening down here. So I did that. Also adjusted the mixture because it was running way too rich. Also part of the reason why it was missing, so when it was at a higher RPM, it was just sucking in too much fuel, and the spark plug simply couldn't ignite it. I think. That's my theory anyway. Alright, anyway, starting in my hand. Yep. Now let's advance the timing now. And so, we have one very happy Fiat. Yay! So, no doubt the exhaust is rather nice. Only a few chuffs now compared to what was happening before. And when you bring up the RPM and hold it there, so you've got a steering column you can turn. It's cruise control. Really nice. Really happy with that. So yeah, it's running really well. I'm happy with that now. Not that it matters, it's not on the road, but just one less thing I've got to worry about. The only other thing that does concern me a little bit, you probably can't see that, the magneto does wobble side to side marginally by about half a millimetre. Very hard to pick up on the camera. But I mean, end of the day, it's still running really nice. And it'll go down the road well. Just got to stop it. Just short out the magneto on the earth. So that's that. The engine side of things, it's running really well. Last thing I want to do is do an oil change. Because what happened was, once we got the engine built, initially running for a bit, it started leaking water into one of the cylinders, and I found water in the oil, so retension the head bolts rather, and so far so good. So it's only got cheap oil in it at the moment, so I want to drain it out and put some Penrite, the proper vintage stuff, whatever it is, just so that I'm satisfied I'm looking after the engine the way I should be. Now I know I'm rambling on, but the one last thing I've done as well is on this radiator you can see there should have been a little bonnet support hinge, pivot point, whatever you want to call it, thingy up here. But obviously what's happened is it's chafed through after the years of abuse this car's had on the road, with the bonnet being brass, the bonnet being steel, sorry, this being brass, so it's chafed through. They filled the hole with solder, and also it had all solder down here, which you can see, where the bonnet's just been rubbing and chafed the whole way through, and the same down here, which is really ugly, but I can't fix that. Anyway, they had solder all over the edge of this lip, and all around the top of the brass here. And initially I just left it because I was afraid to touch it and afraid to fix it, but the other day I thought, bugger it, I'll make it better, so I taped all this off so I wouldn't scratch it, got the Dremel out in a little hand file and just filed away at all the solder along here, and I've ended up with a really nice line across there, if I can shoot it properly with the camera. So yeah, that turned out really well. And when I get the bonnet fitting up, first thing I've got to do is actually fit some leather around here. I was going to use this rope kind of stuff, but it's a bit thick. And I was talking to another guy that has one of these, and he's restored one, and he said you just use leather, and he's got a bit of offcut, so he's going to give me the rest of the leather, and you just wrap it around there. The same up here, and he said you use shoe glue, believe it or not. The glue you use to hold the sole back onto your shoes, and it works wonders. So I'll stick that on, and I've tested the bonnet, and so it looks like it's going to fit pretty good. You can see the bonnet down there, but you need the bonnet catches to hold it down tight so that it sits properly, of course. But yeah, also you've got this bar that goes across here, so you've got the proper spacing between the radiator and the petrol tank and scuttle. Because without that, the radiator sat further in, and occasionally when you went over a bump, or the axle, like the chassis twisted a bit, the fan would hit on this bolt just here. So hopefully that avoids that now. But yeah, so it's only 2 nights spent in this car, but lots of little fiddly things done that I haven't had a chance to do beforehand. So, of course, the next thing will be, well, one of the other things, got to fix up this petrol tank again, so it's leaking, so I soldered it up. But now I spilled solder up the top when it was like sitting upside down outside the car, so I've got to take that out again, paint it. And then, of course, the bodywork that never ends. I don't know if I've showed you, but I'll show you again. There was a bit of rust here still, and a little bit on the other side around this region here, but that's not too hard to fix. Just cut it out and weld a new part in. Most people would bog over it, but I want to do it properly, so the other thing I've got to do is I've got to find out, these are the holes for the upholstery for the hood bows. You can see it there, and they're all the way around here. I need my torch now. Why did I put it down? There it is. Torch is going flat. But yeah, all these little holes are for the upholstery for the hood bows, so I'm not sure if I should leave them there or weld them up, and the upholsterer drills new holes once the body's done, but I'm a bit afraid of that in case it chips some paint off. So that's one of the other queries, but it's all getting there very slowly. There's a door I was working on the last video. Turned to shit because the bog set too quickly and just dragged through, so I'll sand it all back and try again. But yeah, so that's where that's at. And I've sort of decided on a colour scheme for it too. You're going to call me crazy, but yellow. But not a bright yellow. Sort of a yellow similar to what's on... No, not even that. I don't know, like a dark yellow, burnt yellow. Not quite a burnt orangey, mustardy colour, but just a nice yellow. Not too bright, vibrant and wishy-washy and bright. And that just looks wrong on the camera. But yeah, so do that. You've got your black wheels, you've got your polished radiator, polished brass rims for your headlights. It'd have to be black upholstery. Polished aluminium dash, I'd like. That's the way it was originally. Well, originally it was spun aluminium, but polished looked just as nice. And then carpets are supposed to be black with a blue engine. Blue engine looks out of place now. But yeah, anyway, I'm rambling. I should definitely go because this is a pointless video now. Alright, thanks for watching. Catch you later.